Today we are going to look at how two sisters from South Africa managed to steal more than 100 million rand from their employer. We will find out how they did it and how they got caught. I am Olivia. I am an accountant and the owner of Profits and Books, bookkeeping and accounting services. This is the tale of two sisters who live in Pretoria in South Africa, who worked for a big food company called Premier Foods. And they are accused, allegedly, it has not yet been tested in a court of law, but they are accused of stealing more than 100 million rand from their company. So let's take a look at how they managed to do it and how they got caught, how did they do it, and of course, where are they now? So this is me today, and it seems like it is a bit of, I don't know what's happening today. Today is one of those days that we just keep on getting, we just keep on getting a little bit of technical glitches. So I just want to go and find out. There we are, sorted. And that's the beauty of technology. You're never completely stuck. It's just to stay calm and take you, the viewers, who's patient and watching along on the ride. So let's go and find out how these two sisters got caught and how they managed to get away with it for so long. So these two sisters from Pretoria, they worked for a food and packaged good group called Premier. They stole, or they are accused of stealing, 137 million rand by diverting payments from suppliers to their own bank accounts. They were arrested and charged, and if found guilty, they will face up to 30 years in jail under the Prevention of the Organised Crime Act. They started working for the company in 2002 and 2008 respectively. So then a couple of years later, they came up with a scam. They created their own company called ABC Fire Projects, of which the one sister was the sole director and the other sister had signing power over the bank account. According to the police, in 2016, they used their senior positions at Premier to get a large customer to start paying for goods into their ABC Fire account instead of into Premier's account. This happened between 2016 and 2020. The Hawks have accused the sisters of trying to cover their tracks by creating bogus debit and credit entries and shuffling funds between bank accounts. They would allocate funds received from other Premier debtors to the account of their so-called customer, falsely creating the impression that payments have been made. So let's just stop there. And I just want to explain in a nutshell, in simple terms, what happened. They were employees. They were working for Premier Foods. So then the two sisters decided and say, hello, this is possibly a time, an opportunity for us to get some extra cash. So they opened their own business separately from Premier, while they were still employees at Premier's, and because they had senior positions at the company. So what happens if you always work with suppliers? You build up a relationship. You get to know each other. So this specific supplier knew this, actually this customer, they knew them already. So they allegedly convinced the customer to pay the money to them into their account instead of to Premier's account. And how did they cover their tracks? They then created fake debit and credit accounts or entries. They changed amounts. They created the impression on the books that that was different to what was actually happening. Let's continue to see how did they get caught, because it's nice to have money and we all want extra funds. Even though they pleaded not guilty, they explained, remember we are talking here about 137 million. They attempted to explain that the funds that flowed into ABC's account were the result of legitimate business transactions. 137 million rand were paid over allegedly, but they could only produce invoices for 45,000 rand. From 137 million rand, they could only show invoices for 45,000 rand. Again, when you are a customer, let me just explain how accounting works in simple terms. When you are my customer, I create an invoice. It sounds simple, but it's surprising in how many companies this system is not in place. So in the case of Premier Foods, this system was in place, but the sisters allegedly found the loopholes and they defrauded the company. So what happens when you are a customer and I've delivered a service to you? I send you an invoice and then you pay me. Once you have paid that invoice, it's the proof that this is how much I charged. And then when you pay me, I send you a proof of payment or a receipt to show that this is what you paid me. The record then is covered on both sides. So the two sisters, then they used its fraudulent activities. They created the invoices, but for their own business. Instead of the money going into the business account, the money then went into their own business, not the business that they worked for, but the business that they created without the knowledge of Premier Foods. And that is how they managed to allegedly steal the money. How did they get caught? That is always the million-dollar question. According to reports, there were suspicious activities in the account. Premier Foods then started to investigate to see what is going on. And how did they manage this? They looked at the bank statements. Bank statements of any business, it's gold. It's key to an accountant. It's key to forensics because the bank statements are a reflection of the flow of money in and out of your accounts. So the sisters, what they did, they stole the money allegedly. Remember, this has not yet been tested in a court of law. Allegedly, but they were charged and they were arrested and charged. They convinced a customer, pay the money into our business account, not the company's business account, our business account. They were employees of Premier Foods. They went to a customer of Premier Foods, convinced the customer to pay the money into their business account, not not Premier's bank account. It doesn't state what these fraudulent or suspicious activities were, but when Premier investigated, it was a forensic investigation. And the first thing, when it's an investigation into the funds of a business, it is the bank statements. Because from the bank statements, you can then follow the flow of money. And the bank statements showed that this client, this customer, they paid the money into ABC instead of Premier's business account. In a case like this, let's look and see. They got away for 5 years, 4 years, from 2016 to 2020. They managed to get away with this. A trustee's report shows that the sisters used the money to open other businesses, sending some to family members and other acquaintances to purchase assets, properties, and businesses. This is of the 137 million rand that investors identified up until this stage. Let's look at who Premier Food is. This is a company that was founded in 1820. This isn't a Mickey Mouse company, as we say. It is a big company. They have invested in facilities and acquisitions to expand their portfolio even further from the traditional milling and bakery business into sugar confectionery. So if you've eaten a Super C, a sweet from Mr. Sweet and Manhattan, if you have used products of Lillette's, Dove Cottons and Valgo, then you have used a product of Premier Business. The business has an annual turnover of 14.5 billion. They employ over 8,100 employees in various operations. They operate 13 bakeries, 7 wheat mills, 3 maize mills, and manufacturing plants across the region, producing a broad range of other products. So we are not talking here about a big major company. Just to look at some of the other products to see what their brands are. I want to come to maize meal, which is a staple food in Africa and in South Africa. Impala, Invicta, Iwisa, number 1. Super Sun, Premier Bripub. These are some of the products that fall under the stable of Premier Foods. And this is the company that has been defrauded. When you look at this, I want to stop and just say, how did they, sorry, I just want to get this back to this. Yeah. Premier Foods did the right thing in terms of the way that the company is set up. They had financial controls in place. This lady, one of them, was working as a senior credit controller. They were dealing with suppliers and customers. So already there was segregation of duties or separation of duties, but there wasn't oversight, because this happened from 2016 to 2020. And it was only when they picked up suspicious behavior or suspicious transactions that forensic was being done. Forensics must not just be done when there are suspicious activities, but it must be done on a regular basis, even if seemingly nothing is wrong. In terms of when you deal with activities in terms of accounting, accounting controls is so very important. You cannot ignore it. You cannot deny it. It's one of the key factors when you want to make sure that the funds in your business are running, it's flowing from the right place to the right place. What is happening now at the moment? When it happens that fraud happens in a business, normally people are involved. When there's any illegal activities, then it becomes illegal, it becomes a criminal and a civil case. So Premier Foods, when they realized that these people, the two sisters, have been stealing our money, and normally in cases when money has been stolen, it's very difficult to recover the actual cash. So Premier Foods took Barbara van Zyl and her company ABC. They took them to court, and now they applied for liquidation against the company based on the following information. Remember, this lady was appointed as a senior credit controller by Premier Foods on the 1st of April 2002. Specific customers' accounts were allocated to her to manage, which management included obtaining proof of payments made by customers, allocating each payment to that customer's account, and ensuring that agreed discounts, rebates, returns, and other credit transactions are accurately recorded on each customer's account. That is what her jobs were. Then she played an important role in the applicant's business operation and enabled the applicant to have an accurate record of liabilities of each of its customers. As a result, her employer alleges that she became acquainted with all their internal financial processes, including their internal checks and balances. So she was in the perfect situation, the perfect position to defraud the company because she knew how they operate, how the money is flowing, what they do when they do checks, how do they check the monies, how they make sure that the checks and balances are in order. So basically, she knew how they operated. And based on that, she abused the position of power. Even though the amount we are talking about, it's 137 million rand. They say, according to the court papers, an amount was dispersed of 39 million rand, was paying, almost 40 million rand was paying directly into the bank account of the respondent, which is the accused, the person who got accused of stealing the money from the company. But her total assets amount to 2,095,000. The financial statements of her business, remember she opened a business to fleece money off the company that she was working for. The total assets and liabilities came to 301,519 rand. Her net profit was almost 20,000, and the sales for the year was almost 100,000. Sorry, it was almost 1 million. Almost 1 million rand. That is according to what is in court records. This is the court case for the proceeding for provisional sequestration of the respondent's estate. So this was where the company that she stole the money from allegedly. They then went to court and said, we want to sequestrate this person's assets. We want to sequestrate her estate to recoup some of the money. They also put in a claim against her business ABC to be liquidated so that then they can recoup the money by attaching the assets and sell it to get some of the stolen funds back. What happens when you are sequestrated? You will be insolvent for at least 2 to 4 years. You can only apply for rehabilitation after 18 months, but that's an exception. You may not have a check account or credit facility. You may under no circumstances engage in any debt arrangements. When you steal money, if you get caught and you get, while the court case is going on, lives are being destroyed. Let's look at the implications of when money gets stolen from a business. The company that is being defrauded, it's a loss of income to them. It might mean that reduced hours have to be worked. It might mean that some people might lose their jobs. They have to be retrenched because there's not enough money in the business. Or worst case scenario, the business might close down. This is the consequences for the business itself. What happens to the person who is accused and eventually might or might not be found guilty of stealing the money? Right. The consequences is reputational damage. You might go to jail. Your family gets affected. Your friends will get affected. Your life will fall apart. This is just on an emotional and psychological level. Financially, in most cases, when this happens, the money cannot be recouped. It's gone. It disappeared. It cannot be found. I am an accountant, and when I see cases like this, it's heartbreaking because it's not just about following the numbers, but also look at the impact, the financial impact of what something like this does to a business. Usually, when this happened, it's people who are the perpetrators, the accused, are normally in a position of trust. How do you prevent this? Because rule number one, I always say, it's segregation of duties. The same person who captures the details of who can create who can create customers and supplier list cannot be the same person who has access to your bank account when it comes to payment, who can move money around, who authorizes. And in this case, again, that is what happened. Someone had access, someone knew how the system works, and there was no oversight. The hard, bitter reality, and this is what I drill into my clients. When it comes to money, it's not personal. It's your money. You need to ask the questions. And asking a question that bothers you about money, it's not an indication that you don't trust me. It is an indication that you want to know where the money is going. Premier Foods had separation of duties. But there was one person who captured the transactions and the same person who authorized, the same person who, it seems, in terms of payment, could create transactions without any oversight of where the money should go, who paid it. That's why they said, in this case, she created bogus credit and debit transactions. How can you prevent this? The reality is, and I will say it again, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Right now, as you are watching this video, there might be someone in your business, your company, who is funding their lifestyle with money that they are stealing from your business because you do not ask the right questions. Number one, ask the questions. Number two, know the systems. There's a wonderful, wonderful feature on accounting software called reports. You don't have to know accounting, but know how to read those reports. Know what reports are crucial for your business. Your bank statement. Your bank statement is a reflection of the money coming in and going out of your business. How often do you check your bank statements? How often do you do that to see what money comes in and what goes out? Forensics. Like I've said earlier on, you must do forensics not because you suspect that something is wrong, but even when everything is seemingly flowing, get a forensic team to do your accounts. What I do, and this is what I always say to all my clients, just give me 6 months of your bank statement, 6 months of bank statements, 12 months of bank statements, and I can look at your bank statements to see the flow of money coming in. I can say to you, who are your customers? Who are your suppliers? Just by looking at your bank statements. Another way is also to find, when you compare bank statements together with statements, then you also need your actual banking account details, because these sisters, what they did, they paid the money into their own bank accounts. Can you imagine if much earlier on there was someone who was looking for discrepancies? Why is it that the bank account of your suppliers is the same of the bank account of your employees? So once again, how do you prevent this from happening? Financial accounting controls, separation of duties, spot checks with your bank accounts, check suppliers against your supplier details against employee details. Those are simple checks and balances that you, as an employer, you're not always able to do. But you get someone like us to come and assess and look at it. And I always say South African businesses specifically still do not understand the benefits of outsourcing. When you outsource, even if it's just a portion of your accounting department, it's not someone who does your day-to-day bookkeeping duties and accounting duties. It's someone who has a bird's eye view of what is going on in your accounting department. Someone with no emotional ties to your business, someone who's unbiased, with an honest opinion, who can only deliver on what the numbers are saying. That is what we do. That is what we offer. You know, when you build a business, we look at companies like Premier Foods. I showed all the brands of what falls under them. They have been in business for over 200 years. 203 years to be exactly. This is a 203-year-old company. When you think back of what they have survived, what the road that they have traveled, the developments and historical events that happened since they started in 1820 up until now to the 2000s, they have one hell of a story to tell. But one of those stories should not be how an employee stole 137 million rand from our company. That should never be part of your story. And when you start a business, they didn't in 1820. They didn't just go to bed and the next day magically They were this massive, massive company with so many other companies in their stable. It happened because of sacrifice. It happened because they had a vision. They saw the possibility of growth. They saw the potential of their own business. And then 200 years, after 200 years, someone comes and steals this amount of money, someone they trusted, someone who was in a responsible position of power, who chose not to do the right thing. And this is the sad reality of many businesses. They were caught. A 200-year-old business. You, with your business of 20 years or 30 years, do you have the right accounting controls in place? Do you have oversight? Do you do spot reviews? Do you have someone who checks your books, who's independent, unbiased, and is not affiliated to your business in any way? I want to end off in conclusion. Those old mobster mafia movies? Those movies of the 80s, the late 70s, early 80s, like The Godfather. I want you to go back to that movies. And listen, I'm not celebrating criminality, but I want you to go and see how they do business. They had specifically someone who was doing the counting. They knew, the big boss knew how money was flowing. They kept meticulous records of who owes them what, how much they agreed to pay, and when it must be paid. That's the original accounting system. But today we are lulled in a false sense of security because we have the software that has to do things. You have all the accounting controls in place, but the one thing that every time that is not being taken into consideration, it's human nature. And I will end off by saying, I am available. We are available to provide the service to you, to stop your company from bleeding money unnecessarily. Because that money, it's not just to provide for you and your lifestyle, but it's to provide for your employees as well. They had 8,100 employees. That's a small town in USA. It's a whole town that they are employing. And when money gets stolen, it poses a threat to every single person who's working for that company. Do the right thing. Get someone to check. Get an accounting firm to check the accountant, to check the bookkeeper. And this is in no way to say that you don't like your bookkeeper, you don't trust them. No, you're not saying that. What you are saying is, I am here to take care of my business. I am here to protect my interest. And as a business owner, as an executive, you must start thinking in that way. Remember, it's your money, it's your business, your interest, and it's your employees. And you have been given the responsibility to take care of them. And the first step to take care of your business is to take care of your accounting systems. I thank you. My name is Olivia. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, share. Let me know what you think. And if there's any other topics that you want me to cover, please let me know. Thank you for watching.